Hey there, this is for CSC 179, Digital Media's Foundation. This is going to be the Surreal image or the Composite image. This is where you're going to take more than one image and take out parts of one and of another and blend them together to try to create something new and different. So for instance, I found a picture of a swimmer and I have a picture of a bird bath. And I'm going to put them together in order to create a new and different kind of picture. So what I have is I have a bird bath like this, and I want to put that swimmer into this space. And so what I end up doing through using Photoshop is taking out various parts from one picture, like I took the swimmer out of one in basically the shape of this, put that person into here, and I start adding little bits of like reflection here on the edges. I have different layers that cover up this edge here. I add additional water splashes and I adjust some color values, and I add some extra shadows here on the edges, add some warm light on certain parts here, and I start to build a new composition. So what I end up with is a final image made up of a bunch of modifications from different images. Another example here in GIMP, so I start out with a simple cinder block. This is a picture that I took of a step. It's not a cinder block, it's a step. And then I start using individual images from collections that I have of things like doors and windows and walls, and I choose, like for instance, I chose that garage door, and I chose a couple of these windows, this window, and I begin to add them into my scene. But I begin to do so here's some of these things are quite subtle, and so if I start to add like a window, I'll add shadows to that window to make it look like it's recessed. Notice how that dark line makes it look like it's recessed. I'll add overlapping rock over the edge so that it looks like the edge is being covered up by the edges of the rock. And through a series of additions and modifications, I begin to sync that data into one another. I added my name there at the bottom. I add shadows, I add front grass in front of this, and it's all from just taking out parts of one image and laying them on top of another. And I have another window on this side here. Move this. I have another window here, and I have grass in the reflection of the window. See how the reflection of the grass shows up? And so I add my shadow lines and those kind of things to kind of end up with a final picture. And so in the end, I want it to look like that the image itself looks fairly believable, and it's a way to practice using Photoshop and your imagination and trying to blend lots of different elements together. Now there's lots of examples of these kind of things. If you go online and look up things like composition, if you look up composition or composite images using Photoshop, you can see a lot of that. And that's why I have that you're going to be watching a tutorial by lynda.com where they do this very same thing. And that way you can learn different processes. And so in the end, you're going to have your own image that you created that has a bunch of pictures, several pictures brought together to create a new and interesting thing. And it needs to be an illusion. I want it to not look like a composite necessarily, but look like something that's just interesting and something that might just be, I call it surreal. It could be surreal, that would be fine. But it could just juxtapose ideas together and create something new. So I want it to be a way to have fun with learning new techniques, but also want it to be a way for you to stretch your imagination and learn to see how you can take components of one image and another and blend them together. So you're looking at how images can fit together and create different relationships. So this is the Surreal image or the composite image using Photoshop project.